So to first orient what you're looking at, we're in Microsoft Teams and I'm in the freelance Teams space and I'm on the general channel. Pretty much this is where I'm going to stay and show you a number of things on how we're integrating the Microsoft List experience in Teams. The first thing I want to show you is if you wanted to create a new list, you go as you add any tab in Microsoft Teams in a channel and you'll see this new Lists app. When you click it, it's going to assume you want to create a new tab, but this time it's not just bringing content from somewhere else, it's actually creating new content. So when I save this down, it's going to start me as a new lists tab. And I want to create a new list. I can also bring in an existing list, and I'll show you that next. But if I go to create a list, it's going to give me a lot of different options. I can create from blank, I can bring in a table of data from Excel, or I can bring in the smarts of another list, which is really the column structure, the color formatting, some of the rules, but not the content itself. But what I'm going to do here is go in and show you what it's like to start off with a template. So we have 8 ready-made templates. This is the content scheduler template, and you get kind of a peek ahead of what the structure will be. Different columns, the different color formatting, the way that your list will look based on that you're choosing this template. I'm going to go in and use the content scheduler, and we'll just, for this, we'll say manage content. Pretty simple. And then I could give it a descriptor. My favorite color is green, and I really like this concept of maybe going to the moon someday, so we'll choose the rocket. When I go to create this, this is creating and storing the list in the same location as the rest of the team space, but it's now generating a new content type, which is lists. And it's going to ask me to basically start to fill out information. And I'll be very quick here because I want to really cut over and show you a more of a finished list so you can get a sense of what it looks like. But there are a lot of smarts behind what's here. So I'm going to put in a simple tweet and I'll add a description, cool tweet. And then I'm going to start to make some selections around the status. This is going to be an assigned piece of content, that the date is going to be a little bit into the future. We're going to make it a point in time that this would go live at 8 a.m. And you get a sense that I can fill in a lot of information, and I'll choose this. This is going to be a social media post, like we said. We can add an image, get a URL once we have it, once the tweet goes live, and you can get a sense that you can track a lot of information. Again, I'll save it down pretty quickly so you can see what it's looked like to create a new list item. But I'm going to cut over to a different list that's leveraging a different template for issue tracking. This is my remote response list that I designed in the same way. I chose a template and I started to layer in data. And it can, of course, be contributing by other people. But you get this notion of if I have building access during maintenance, and I can see here that I've got, information's filled out. I can go in and change it if this was not just by design, but it's a duplicate, if the priority is moved from high to maybe normal. And what changes when I go back to the list after it saves down is some of this color coding, which you have the full access to be in charge of. And you can see here, based on these different choices, they'll have a different color. And even beyond the color, they can have different rules based on if it's like this, where it's days old. If it's older than 30 days, start to show some of these different visuals. So now, if you get a sense of what it's like to create a list, start working within the list, you can actually start to then view things a little bit differently. I can group by status, so I can see all the things that have been completed, all the things that are in progress. And if I want to actually start to hold a conversation and reach out to somebody that I'm working with, in this case, Patty, I can @mention Patty, and I can ask her a question about this all hands Q3 event. Is this still on for the same date? And then Patty will get a notification, and I'll show you what that looks like. If I go to the posts, you'll see here that Megan, who I'm logged in as, chatted out and mentioned, to Patty here, is this still on for the same date? Here's the link back so that if I'm now Patty, I click on the link and I get the list item that I'm referencing, I get the conversation that's already happening, and if I need to make a change based on the question, I can reply back, make a change, and update the list as I need to. So once you get the sense of the conversation right alongside the list item or the content, in this case, the list item, I want to show you an existing list that has one other thing that is of value. This is a storefront approvals list, and I'm going to show you a couple of things. I want to expand this into a broader view because I have a number of columns that stretch out to the right. And this time when I click on to view an individual item, it'll look a little bit different, and that's because we've actually customized the form with a Power App, and you can do that very easily on any out-of-the-box form with lists. You just choose to customize it, and it'll take you to then further customize it with Power Apps. To orient you a little bit, it's pulling in some of the data from the list that you see back here. This photo is being represented here, but it's prominently presented here on the form. But in addition to the list information, we're actually bringing in a Power BI dashboard where you see vendor statistics. So this is live data coming from Power BI programmed into the Power App and now is a part of the default form for this list, the storefront approvals. We're also pulling in information from Excel. So this is a worksheet within Excel that we're pulling through and able to add as a component of this Power App. Again, just now a part of the default experience for an end user. So we have a lot of great interaction and integration with the Power Platform when you think about customizing forms. Also, we have the ability to customize workflows. So with that, I hope you get a sense of what it's like to work with lists inside of Microsoft Teams.